So it's getting recorded, right?
Looks
Am I
like.
audible?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we can start then. So our first question is contain duplicates. We are given an array of integers and we need to find if array contains any duplicates. Our function should return true if any value appears at least twice in the array, and it should return false for every element is distinct. So here one is repeated, so we have true, and here all the elements are distinct, so false, again true, and so on. Yeah. Any queries in the question here or approach?
No, I think it's straightforward.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's straightforward, like any like genius way of doing something like that. Any smart way, that is, yeah.
So what
One
are
like,
the so what are the different approaches we have? So this question could be a good example to put it like way, okay, this is approach one, this is approach two. So give more
yeah,
flexibility to the interviewer to give you options.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we can use hash map. We have other like bitwise also you can use in
So
this.
so can you write on the right side?
Sure, sure. I can use whiteboard also. Okay.
No, I think it is fine. So approach
Okay.
one
Yeah.
is using a hash map. So you can write like
Yeah.
a hash map,
Yeah.
and runtime is order of n. Anyhow, we have to.
With extras. Yeah.
And memory would be
Order of n, whatever
order of
elements.
m distinct elements.
Yeah.
We can break
N,
out
yeah.
as soon as we see double count.
Yeah. So in worst case, it could be like all the elements are unique only, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Then what is our approach to? Approach to
Sorting also.
sort.
Yeah.
Yeah. Approach to is sorting. So considering any merge sort of algorithm n log n.
Yeah.
And so I think there are ways in merge sort not to take extra memory, but it's up to us to say interviewer, okay, sorting can also take extra memory. Or you can say, okay, we are assuming like this is a super efficient sorting algorithm, does not take extra memory. It's advanced version of
Memory.
merge sort.
Yeah. But
Okay.
merge sort implicitly will take extra space.
No, there are ways in merge sort there are advanced algorithms based on merge sort which does not take extra memory. But that is outside the scope of our. But yeah, safe side you can say like advanced version of merge sort can like do in place, or it might end up taking order of n memory.
Yeah, inverse. Yeah, okay.
You can use quicksort also.
Quicksort also, worst case it can go n square, but yes,
N square it is, yeah.
no, but it depends on quicksort. What is your pivot? It decides. But yes, these are trade-offs. I think if you know the answer of the question, then it's okay to discuss these trade-offs. Like, okay, I have these two approaches, and this thing, which one you want me to take? So basically, sorting is you sort, and if you see left, right, the next element is the same as the previous, you say, okay, they are duplicates.
Yeah.
So in this case of hash map, you can use an hash set also, right?
Yes.
Unordered set, yeah.
And
Yeah.
second,
Yeah.
yeah,
So here hash map means, I mean, some sort of a dictionary.
Kind of is hashing.
Yeah.
But any of runtime would be order of n. So Shashank, you can even split like, okay, this is runtime and this is memory. So where you
yeah,
wrote hash map,
yeah.
go
First one is like,
line 8. Sorry, line 9.
okay,
Oh yeah, either way you can write in that way. This is the runtime, and this is
yeah,
the other part is the memory.
memory, yeah. And one thing I was thinking, like if we do perform XOR operation over here, all the same elements will be cancelled out. And after that, if we check all are distinct.
There could be more
Yeah.
duplicates. There could be 3 times.
Or maybe two numbers can be duplicates. Yeah.
Yeah, if they appears 3 times.
If it appears 3 times, then only one will remain, right? Two
But
will
we
become
have,
0.
yeah, so, but we have to figure it out that,
No, we
No.
don't.
Yeah.
So you're telling to do a XOR operation.
Yeah, but it will be trouble, I think. Yeah, if we do XOR operation, if there are 2 duplicates, it will, I mean, if there are even number of duplicates, it will be washed out. Else, only the odd duplicates will be there, right? If we have 5, 4 will be reduced to 0 and 1 will be there, 1, 1.
Mm-hmm.
After that, if it, no, it won't work, I think.
Hmm. What else could be other way to find?
brute force.
Yeah, that is, yeah, one way. Brute force, like order of
N
n square,
square.
right? Yeah,
N square, yeah.
yeah. Mm. But no space will be there. That's true. At the cost of space, we are reducing all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorting, we can assume that there is constant space.
No, but merge sort takes no implicit.
There are some algorithm, as you mentioned, that so we can make an assumption. If
Yeah.
In general,
Let's not
okay.
make it complicated. Say like, okay, like say like, okay, there we are not using extra memory there.
Yeah.
But
So should I make it?
it depends. Like if somebody asks like how you avoid, then be prepared for it. Like some answer.
No. Yeah. Yeah. So what I did just took the set of nums and compared the length. If they are not equal, done true, else false. Yeah, then we can switch to next. Any other approach apart from this? Any bit manipulation, anything like that, using bits and all?
Even the brute force implementing here is easier. Usually, brute force is slightly difficult most of the time.
Do for do some, yeah.
I think there will be only 3 approaches of now. I think so.
and that's what I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's proceed to next one. So this is somebody in chats. Okay. So integer replacement. They are given a positive integer and we need to do operations as follows. If you found it is as even, replace it with n by 2, and if odd, you can replace n either with n plus 1 or n minus 1. So what is the minimum number of replacement required for n to become 1? If you see 8 to 4, 4 to 2 and 1, so 3 jumps you have to make in order to reach it to 1. For 7, it's 4. Yeah. There are any queries or approach in this?
So is it like here, if it's an integer,
Hmm.
so the maximum number will be 32?
Maximum, yeah, yeah, I
Right,
think it should be
because we are
more than
using
that.
an, it will be more than that.
It will be more than that. Like I saw in a test case, it's 65,000.
So
Why?
what do you mean by 32, Santosh?
Because we are having 32 bits, right?
Okay.
So if you have int max, if it's int max, and then if you just say it is 32, returns 32, actually it accepts that. Yeah, I don't know.
So 2 raised to power 32 minus 1 till that extent, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
But you have to actually find whatever input will be provided here.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, in the
So the only thing I was wondering, like if it is int max, if you use that int max, anyway, int max has a bit lesser value, right? And then even if you use that, if we get 32, so all the rest will be slightly lesser than that. Okay, so the way I look at it here is exactly the way they have said in the problem. So whenever you get a
yeah.
number, just check if it's even or odd. If it's an even, just divide it by 2. If it's an odd, do either of them. And when you do either of them, like +1 or -1,
Yeah.
and then you find which is the minimum out of that and return value.
Yeah.
So it might
Yeah.
be something like a for loop or a recursive something.
Recursion, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the same recursion. So for the first intuition came in my mind that looks like it's a optimized solution we need to get, and it's repetitive. So DP.
Yeah, so I was also
So
about the same opinion. Yeah, that is correct. But then why I said about the 32, because we don't have to use memoization even if you do top down, and it still works, right? In spite of the normal operation without memoization, it works. So therefore, I was of the opinion, yeah, it's not very, what do you say, compute intensive.
yeah, it looks like the intention for this problem is not going with that route. What I implemented, it looks like to me a bit manipulation problem.
Right, something like that.
Exactly. That makes it more optimal. I mean DP also because we have choices like should
Yeah,
we
I
go
mean,
with
with
n by
that
2 or
DP, we can get the solution, but that's not tricky part because we know that n by 2, n plus n minus 1 is a straightforward logic here. So
yeah.
I believe that's not the intent to check here.
Yeah.
The only small thing is how you handle the overflow in case if it happens.
Yeah.
Because if you have an int max value, right? So int max will be odd value, right? So if you add +1, then it will overflow.
Yeah.
If you do -1, it's not going to overflow. So that's the only small thing. So if you can handle that as a separate test case,
Yeah, you
separate
have
case,
to
yeah,
make that.
yeah, it works.
True.
But that took a while for me to even understand it. So.
That integer. Yeah.
But
Yeah. So
it didn't appear to me
yeah.
it as a medium problem. It was sort
Yeah.
of a very normal problem. Not very easy, but
Yeah.
lesser than medium.
Medium.
Yeah.
Yeah. If somebody wants using bit, how like?
I think Praveen is having some
Oh
support.
yeah, Praveen. Huh? Yeah.
I just implemented that DP solution,
Oh,
not
like
the bit manipulation.
Manipulation. Okay.
Yeah, but you want to share it, right?
Okay.
You want to share?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
not a problem. Let me open it. You guys see my screen?
No. Yeah.
Can you increase the font size?
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
What's happening? Fine. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a straightforward solution as you guys just mentioned that. So you just use the unordered map to memorize my previously computed solution. Use that to pass. Just implemented that top down. So here this is my base case. If it's 0 or 1, return 0. And then looking into the memorization and then checking here whether it's a even or odd. And based on that, I'm calculating that and making a recursive call to n plus 1 and n minus 1 if it's odd, and taking the minimum from there and adding 1, returning the output. Any question here?
I have a question.
Yeah.
In this problem, do we get any overlapping subproblems? Like,
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
So we can
I
take,
don't.
yeah, so let's take an example. Let's start with 7, right? So what are the possible solutions? From 7 we can have 8 and 6, right? Now for
Yeah.
8, we will have 4. For 4, we will have 2 and then
2.
1. Now for 6, we will have 3 and then we will have 4 and
2.
2. So these are the overlapping.
No.
So this is O of n, right?
Yes.
But in this, you are not taking care of that overflow.
So
Integer
I'm,
wise though.
I mean, I did the cheap implementation using the unsigned.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Oh, I just saw it. Sorry, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
That's good actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then instead of you could just do without unordered map also, right? You
Oh
don't
yes,
need to do that.
yeah. You can do with unordered map. So yeah, there is no really need the order map. I just wanted to actually put in my habit to actually solve the complex DP problem, so that I should not struggle at that time. So just wanted to follow the pattern.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, in fact, it's a good solution. I actually did using long wrong just to avoid that overflow.
Okay.
Then I went and I saw, okay, let me handle that separately. But this is much better. Do an unsigned int.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
That takes care.
I mean, I have a doubt. I mean, is there any case where n plus 1 is less than, I mean, the steps from n plus 1 is less than n minus 1?
Yes.
3 if you take.
Okay.
If you take 3 and increase it to 4 and then divide to if you divide it by 2, you'll from 4 you'll go to 2, or from 2 to you'll get 1. So 3 steps you are taking, and if you directly subtract 1, then 3 to 2 and 2 to 1, only 2 steps you are taking. So 3 is the case where n plus 1 will be greater than n minus 1. Isn't it?
The same number of steps, right? For
No.
3.
See, when you are at 3, you'll either take plus 1, 4, or you will take minus 1, 4 or 2, right?
Yeah, 4
Now
or
when
2.
yeah,
Yeah.
now
Here
from
in this
4 you,
example, it looks like same.
but 3 is an yeah, here it's no problem, but I think when I did bit there, I was 3 as an exception. You will get that
Okay.
n plus 1 will have a larger number of steps compared to n minus 1.
No. I was actually under the impression if n minus 1 is, I mean, both are almost taking the same time. I mean, so same number of steps. I could actually go via one path itself rather than taking two. I mean, here we are storing for the n plus 1 and n minus 1. I mean, if we are going via both paths, then there will be a possibility of overlapping subproblems. But if I go via one path itself, then there might not be a situation where I have overlapping subproblems. I might not need the already calculated solutions.
But there might be possibilities where n minus 1 might give you lower steps, or n plus 1 give you the lower steps. How do you know before starting the problem?
No. That is what I was asking.
So you can
Yeah.
try for the
There
number
any case-
65534.
Yeah. So why can't you actually show an example? So that will be clear for everyone. So you are talking about that 3, right? So just show the steps for
Sure.
3. Yeah.
Okay.
And if
3.
something else.
Yeah, let me share the. I think if it's Praveen has to stop sharing.
Yeah. Let me stop.
Yeah. So what I was saying, sorry, if you have 3, then either you can go for 4 or you can go for 2, right? Now from 4 is an even, you will go to 2, and again you divide, you will go to 1, and in one step only you go. So here only 2 steps you are taking, but here you are getting 3 steps, right?
Yeah.
So based on the minimum you will take.
No. I was asking where n plus 1 is less than n minus 1.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Asking the other way.
in
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So that would be
7
for
if
the
you
number
take.
65534. You can try.
Okay. Just try that.
It's very difficult to try 65534.
Yeah, I got it wrong from the test case, so that's why I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. So it is there.
Okay.
Ooh.
Here n plus 1 is greater than, sorry, n minus 1 is greater than n plus 1.
No, n plus 1.
No, but
would
this
give-
is an even number, right? So if it's an even number, you don't even have to do this.
I think it was
Yeah,
6535.
directly n by 2. Yeah.
It was
to do.
65535.
65535.
Okay.
5. Okay.
5.
Then that makes sense. Yeah.
No, then
Because if you add 1, it's going to be 64k, correct?
Hmm.
Yeah.
If you take a 7, let's see, you'll have 6 and you can have 8. 8 will go to 4, this will go to 3. Again 4 to 2 and 2 to 1. And from 3, you'll either go to 2 or you'll go to 1. From 2, you'll have 1. 1, 2, 3. So 1 off, 2 off, 3 off, 4 off, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. You're asking for n plus 1 less than
Yeah,
n
n
minus
plus
1,
1
right?
less than n minus 1. I mean, if n minus 1 is always, I mean, I'm just under the assumption that n minus 1 will be less than. So if I
Yeah.
go via one path, I don't have to calculate, I don't have to store sub problems as well as I don't have to calculate multiple. I mean, one path is completely cut off, right?
Yeah.
If you
Okay, I got it. You got it.
hello,
Yeah, go ahead.
if you try, for example, 763,
753.
in that case, 763.
53, right?
In that case, 763.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
In that case, if you go via 762, it is 12. If you go via 764, it's 11.
No. Here, 10.
12. Right.
Yeah.
If we have some of the, I mean, if someone have the DP solution, we can print these values actually.
Yeah, I was under the same impression as Uday, and I was testing only, and I had the printed solution for this.
Okay, you can share.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, I'm stopping.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
I tried for 753. When I tried where the only method, when I'm only calculating for n minus 1, then my answer comes out to be 13. But if I calculate via the DP method, the answer is 12. So I was going through the steps and I found out that if we go at 762, then the number of bits in 762 is 12. And if we go at 764, then the number of 1 bit in is 11. So we can like go from 2 to 2 and move upwards.
Mm.
Is this understandable? I don't think so. Does this make sense?
Yeah. Mm. Right.
Okay. Okay, if this is not clear, maybe we can, someone who has written the DP code, we can go ahead and add print statements. It will be more clear then, I guess.
I think Praveen is having.
Okay, I'll just stop
So what
here.
is that
Yeah,
actually?
please.
What you printed? Sorry, I just missed that.
So yeah, so I tried for 753, and if we only go, if you only take n minus 1 and not consider n plus 1, then the answer comes out to be 13. But if we like do the DP method and take n minus 1 and n plus 1, then the answer comes out to be 12, which is the correct answer. Right. So the steps which I took in order to reach 1 from 763 was this. So I tried for 764 and 762. 762 was 12 and 764 was 11. This is when I calculate for both of them.
Okay. Oh.
So 764 is like we can reach from 764 to 1 in 11 steps and from 762 to 1 in 12 steps. So the number in between 763, right? So we would prefer to pick 764 instead of 762 if we are at 763, sorry.
Oh, yeah. So that makes sense. You have to take n plus 1 as well as n minus 1. Yeah, you have to take both the paths. Yeah. Okay, good.
I'll stop sharing and maybe Shashank can share now.
Yeah. Bits is like same. If it's an even, so the process of checking even number, what is it? Whether a number is even or not. Let's say if you have 8, so you just 8 will be what, 8 4 2 1, so 1 0 0 0, right? Now when you do AND operation with this and with 1, and if you get the LSB as 0, that means it is an even number, and if you don't get LSB as 1, then it will be your odd number, definitely, because only the case when here 1 you'll have, then only you'll have LSB as 1 here. Otherwise you'll if this is your 0, and when you do AND with 1, the entire thing will be reduced to 0. So this is the way for just checking whether it's an even or odd. So this is what I'm checking. If it is an ANDing with the 1, if it is 0, that means it's an even number. So just you do the right shift, right? Doing right shift means you are dividing the number by 2. And next process is like whenever you find an odd number, you just try to see either should you go for the plus 1 even or minus 1. So here what you can do actually, if you you have 4 possible cases, like the trailing bits, if you look, it can be 0 1 1 0 1 1 or 0 0. So whenever you find a number, you add 1 to it and take its mod. So if a number, if you take a number and when you take a mod of it, the remainder you can have either a 0 1 2 or at max 3. This is what I'm representing. Like 3 is this, then 2 1, this is your 1, and this is 0 and this is 2. So whenever you find, let's say 7 is your odd number, when you add 1 to it and do the mod with 4, if you find this is equal to 0, that means it's better to go with plus 1, because that will give you minimum number of steps. Else in other case you can go with the go by reducing the 1. But I told you just now that 3 will be just an exception where your n plus 1 will be higher compared to your n minus 1. But we should have taken the n minus 1 choice because it is having less number of what do you say, steps. So this is what I'm doing. I'm just checking n plus doing it with the AND, checking if it becomes an even operation, and just increases those increase the iteration, how many times you have to do that. Any queries on this? Or I mean, non-bits is like same thing, it's like, but I'm not, this will be more intuitive. Like if you do mod 2, then if it is even, divided by this. Else in these cases subtract minus 1, otherwise do a plus 1 off and just increase the count.
So on line number 8,
yeah,
yeah, actually, so you are doing n is equal to n. Is that a division operation there?
Yeah, that's a division. That's a division.
Oh,
it's an integer division.
Integer double slash is there in Python, and in others I think single slash.
Yeah.
The same thing is the bit in same thing. Whatever I've done there.
Sorry, I was not paying much attention. Did you guys discuss binary operation already?
Yeah. This is the bit manipulation. Yeah, this one. Binary.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's just checking if it is even, then just you do a right shift, that is divide each number by 2. Else you check, you have only 4 possible cases, right? Because when you divide a number by 4, what will happen in that case? At least if a number is divisible by 2 or divisible by 4, then at least 2 times you can divide it by 2, right? It can be more than that, but at least 2 times that you take. 16 you take. If you do 16 mod 4, sorry, 16 by 4 if you do, you'll boil down to 4. Again, 4 by 2 you'll have 2, and 2 by 2 1. So at least 2 times definitely you will divide that number. So that's why we are taking all the possible remainder what you can have. Whenever you divide a number with k, then the number of remainders that you can have at max is 0 to k minus 1. And depending on that bits, and just doing the further operation.
Yep.
If n mod 4 is 1.
It's good, yeah.
Can you explain a little bit on line number 9? If n mod 4
Yes.
is equal to 1 or n equal to 3?
n equal to 3 is an exception I told. Like I used
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't got that.
Yeah, it's okay. That is the only case you'll have to reduce. Otherwise, we don't.
So even if without that n equals 3, your solution will still work, right?
But it will work, but it won't. I don't think so. But
It will
at
be
n
Even
equal
I don't
to,
think so.
infinite loop.
Oh,
I think at n equal
No,
to
I think
3,
it will give me +1.
let's try with 3. Yeah,
So
plus
it will
1
give you
output will be.
3.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It should be 2 actually.
3.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, because from 3 it went to 4 and then it came down to 4, 2 and 1. So it's
okay.
Yeah. Now we can proceed to next.
Just one thing.
Sure.
I think there's one small catch in this question. The solution which Praveen showed, that was top-down DP, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
generally it's very easy to convert top-down to bottom-up just by handling the base cases. But I think in this problem, since we are calling n+1, so basically it's not that easy. It's not that straightforward to get up to a bottom-up approach.
Okay, but do you have a bottom-up approach? Because I didn't
Yes.
see anyone showing it. Yeah.
I
Can you
tried it
share it?
myself.
Okay.
Can you share it?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
So one thing I haven't done till now is that I haven't handled the larger numbers. That is why I'm getting the runtime error.
Okay.
So, but my logic is that for a particular, so what I'm doing is that for a particular odd number, I would be needing the i+1th an answer.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm traveling through this DP array from index 2 to 2 till n, and I'm filling all the even numbers first. Like if my index is even, then I'm simply doing 1 plus I by 2, DP of I by 2. So basically why I'm doing this is so that when I reach onto an odd number, I can easily compute DP of I+1. That is through line number 36. So using that line number 36, I can find DP of I equals to 1 plus minimum of DP of I minus 1 comma DP of I+1.
But you are doing it simultaneously here, right? In a for loop, if it is even, you go to line 32. If it is odd, then you come to 36. But anyway, you are doing that operation earlier, so you will surely get the results in 36, right? That is what you meant to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
And DP of 0, you're taking 0 only, right?
I'm not using that value.
So
It is
the
a base
table.
case.
Okay.
So, but oh yeah, so DP of 1 is 0. So then when you take that and add it, so it will be 1. Okay.
1, yeah.
Then why can't you handle a large test case here?
I didn't kind of change that to long.
Okay.
Why do you need that?
Because
After
I was
6,
getting this error for larger number.
No, what is your
Yeah.
uh,
That is how many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8?
Yeah, this is not going to overflow actually, but I think the
something?
array size,
Yeah,
The
the
size of
array
the
I
size,
think
array.
size of the array is a problem, correctly?
Yeah. Okay.
Because this will be a big array, right? Huge array.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
will be 2 to the power 32, right?
Sorry.
In those case. In those case,
Yeah,
the
2 to
array
power.
size will be like int max, right?
Yeah.
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 That would be a problem.
it would be +1. He's doing I +1. So number +1 array size would be.
Yeah.
From
We can
So-
make maximum till 10 to the
And
power
if
6.
if the number is the max number, then you cannot do 1 plus 1, and that's why this is this issue. It is overflowing because of that, I guess.
Okay.
But Harshit, what I'm thinking, this is a good approach, what you brought up, but why it's not so popular is because of this array size, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because generally it's very easy to convert a top down to a bottom up.
Really? For me, it
Since
is
it's
always difficult that way. Yeah, that's good, you actually. Yeah, I like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
since in this case we have to handle this n+1 thing also.
Uh-huh.
So that was, I think, had to be taken care of.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
in
that's good,
bottom
yeah.
up, where did you declare the size of table, like DP of? I mean, you initially need to have a table, right, where you'll pick the value
So
from.
I declared on line number 24.
Yeah, he had that.
Okay.
But yeah, so the size of the array would be a problem for larger numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yep, thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we can proceed to next or any further. So is a bipartite, whether the graph is bipartite or not. Undirected graph is given, and we need to return true only if and only if it's bipartite. But bipartite, a graph is bipartite if it can split its set of nodes into two independent subsets, A and B, such that every edge in the graph has one node in A and the other in B. The graph is given in the form of graph i's list of indices j, for which is between node I and j exist, and each node is an integer between 0 to graph of length -1. There are no self or parallel edges, and graph I doesn't contain I, it doesn't contain an element twice. Okay, so it's like the representation is like all your indices here will be your nodes, and corresponding to indices, whatever this value, this will be your neighbors. So 0 is connected to 1 and 0 is connected to 3. You can say 0 connected to 1, 0 is connected to 3, 1 is connected to 0, 1 is connected to 2, 2 is connected to 1, and then 2 to 3, and 3 to 0, and 3 to 2. Now if you have to make it bipartite, if you keep the vertices 0 and 2 in one set and 1 and 3 in the other set, because you don't have any edges between them, then this graph can be made as a bipartite graph. And similar here looks, if here you see, it's not possible, because let's say if I take the vertices 1 and 3 in one set, and if I take 0 and 2, still there is an edge, so it's not possible to draw a bipartite graph over here. And range is like 1 to 100 will contain integers from length to it. We won't have any duplicate values. It's in the graph is undirected, so if any element j is in graph this, then I will be in the graph j. Graph is undirected. That's a yeah. Any queries or question?
In the second example, if what if I have 0 and 2 in one group and then 1 and 3 in the other?
No, but there is an edge between 0 and 2. You can't have one in one group. No.
So then if I
bipartite is like if you have a set like this 0 and 2.
Oh yeah.
You have a set like 1 and 2. Yeah.
Right.
You can't have anything between these two.
Yeah.
So there is no other way you take whichever vertex. It's not possible in this case. Yeah, so any approach in this?
So we need to see if there is a back edge, then it's not a bipartite.
Back
But
edge, no?
if
Back
there is
edge,
a,
can you explain more? Or
that would
it's
make
an undirected graph,
us,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, but there are no, what you say, parallel edges as well as what is said, right?
Parallel and self loop.
Self loops, yeah, they both are not there. So I think back edge means the same, right?
Yeah.
Having a self edge.
No, back edge meaning like
Yeah,
grandchild is
it's
connected to parent. Like parent meaning grandfather.
So you mean
no,
in
but
the
that is,
cycle
it's
because
undirected, definitely.
indirect, so it will be surely be there. Yeah.
Yeah, back edge will be there. You have
What
to
is
just
meant by parallel edges?
parallel is like this. Let's say if you have a vertex 1, you have a vertex to 2, one edge is going here and other edge also you have going from this same, or via any other vertex it's going to this. Generally it's between the two nodes only, 1 to 2, again one below edge.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like inquiries.
So as we traverse the graph, if we mark it like red, blue, and then and make sure that we traverse all the node, and while marking red, blue, if we say if the node is not already marked, then only we mark, and then we get a count. The counts are yeah.
Counts, yeah, and you
So
need to check that this children's color should not be same as the parents' color.
yeah,
Otherwise, they'll fall into the same set. Yeah.
right.
What do you mean by counts?
I was thinking like it will probably be the count of the red and blue color will be equal, or difference would be just one. That's what I was thinking. But if I just have like a tail, right, or just one line going on,
yeah,
then the count, yeah, then also count will be, yeah, the difference could be one
only.
or equal.
Equal.
But I don't know whether that will suffice the condition. Yeah, I'm not sure whether that will suffice the condition.
Okay.
So count, you are actually counting in one set and another set, right? Something like that.
Yeah, how many red, how many blue I got.
That should not be a problem, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, then in that
only
case,
make sure. Go ahead.
in that case, like if it is equal or difference is one, that means it is a bipartite. If the difference is more than one, that means it is not bipartite.
But that condition alone won't be able to satisfy.
Yeah, that's what I'm not very sure whether that will suffice or not.
Right.
I think you told the approach was correct only. I don't know why this count we are inserting.
Yeah, I have not solved it, so you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that is correct approach. You just start with any vertex, right? And then put that vertex in one set, maybe a red set, and then it's a child, okay? If it's a DFS or BFS, whatever it is, whatever is the next one coming up in its hierarchy, put that in the blue set. And if you are in blue set, you know that you are coming from blue set, then all its descendants will be in the red set. Yeah.
Red set, yeah.
So when you are putting in red set and blue set, you just have to keep on checking if they are already there, or if they are already in the opposite side. If they are in the opposite side, you return false. So if you are not finding it in the opposite side, it means at the end you will return true.
Yeah.
So you can do either the DFS way.
Pardon?
So yeah, either you do it the DFS way or the BFS way, both should work, right?
Work, yeah, exactly.
But as I think Darshan was saying, You just use an extra space to actually maintain that colors.
Yeah, hash map, you have to visited, it will act like a visitor, like the set you have already seen. I mean, let's say 0, I colored with red. Then I'll explore its children. I'll go to 3, I'll make it blue because its parent is red. And I'll go to 2, whatever color 3 is having, I'll make opposite. Now, again, I'll go here. Now, when I reach 0, I need to make sure that I've already visited. So even by checking the color, if I see the color of these two, that will act, it will help you in 2 ways. First of all, you won't visit it again, that color map. And secondly, it will make sure that the color of this and his parent should not be of same color. Yeah, you'll have to make hash map, the color map will keep. Anyways, in normal DFS also, we need to keep a visited array, right? Set or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So instead of visited, you modify that visited in such a way.
Both the work will be done.
Yeah, I did it BFS way.
Yeah, sure. Share it, I think.
Rani, do you want to mute, please?
Yeah, some dog is barking.
Sorry.
Shall I mute all? If somebody wants to speak, he can unmute it.
Can somebody please repeat the algorithm we are doing? Sorry, I was paying attention, but I couldn't run.
Yeah, sure. I think Santosh will.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just sharing it. Sorry.
Okay.
Where is that screen now? Oh man. Yeah, so what I was saying, I'm using a BFS way.
You're not sharing your correct
screen. Yeah, correct. Screen is not correct.
Oh,
that
just
Zoom is coming. Yeah.
Showing the Zoom.
Okay, just a minute.
Yeah. In meanwhile, I'll tell like. Okay.
Yeah, is it? Is it?
Yeah. Correct. Screen
Yeah. So it's.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So what I was saying is, I'm using the BFS traversal, and in the BFS traversal, it's a normal BFS traversal. Absolutely, there's nothing different. As Shashank said, instead of using a visited array, but I'm just renaming it to something else, like maybe shades. Okay, gray shades, maybe 0 and 1, something like that. And then I'm actually initializing all of them to -1. And what I'm doing is either I'm going through each and every vertex. So if I see any of the vertex is not visited, which is -1, then I just continue. Okay. If it is visited, then actually I continue, or else actually I put that as a shade 1 and then push it in a queue. Then here I start the BFS. Okay. I just see if the queue is empty, then I actually pop it out and then traverse its adjacency edges. So whatever the nodes are, then I check if any of the node is not -1, it means that it's not visited. Then I just actually just make them the reverse of what it was from its source. Okay. So either it will be 0 or it will be 1. And then if it was -1, then I just added that shade. I'll push it into the queue. And if I found a similar shade as that of my source, right? So then I return false, or at the end, I just come at the end and return true.
True.
So it's a simple BFS traversal, as Shashank was saying. There's nothing different, only change that visit array modified represented array. It's like Darshan was saying, use blue and red, either of the colors. Instead of that, I'm using this array 0 and 1 values.
Can you just give a brief intro? I think Rajendra came late to the problem.
I want to share why what is bipartite, if you guys have.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, sure.
Or okay, let me the whiteboard. You guys see my screen, whiteboard?
Yeah.
Why bipartite? So let's say we have male here, couple of males, one set of males and one set of females. And we are in a system where a male can only marry to a female, something like that. So now, if there is some relation between male and male, so this is a bipartite. So one people in a same set, if they are linked together, that means we don't want that.
Unusual case, yeah.
Yeah, like
yeah. Yeah, got it.
Basically, we can if we can put them in a separate nodes. That is like is a bipartite. That's how like I understood like now in one. So this could be different in this can come in different ways, like
politically very bad example.
Yeah, but it will be remembered long. Like.
Yeah. One question: is it possible that there is a male which is not mapped to a female? Is that allowed?
Yeah.
Function
that's allowed.
But we don't want in one single set.
I see. Okay.
They are connected.
But I think that doesn't suffice the definition of a function. You can't have a male which doesn't have any association with the next element in the other set. Does it suffice the function?
So let's say in the node terms. So let's say, and now we are, I think this color thing comes into picture. We can use a color or we can't use. So there could be some node 1, node 2, node 4, and then node 5, and some node 6. So basically it can go from here to here. Node 2 can still live there. Or if we are telling like these are one set of things, then they should not connect. And this guy connects saying this to this and this to this, but we don't allow like this relationship. So if
so many to many between the groups are allowed.
Yeah. So basically, if this is have same parent, then these two can't have their relationship. So basically, if N3 and N4 has the same parent N1, then they can't have a relationship between them.
Yeah, and also islands in the graph will be allowed.
Which one?
If there are islands in the graph, they also will be allowed if they actually follow this bipartite principle. Because if it's a disconnected graph.
So this, if you see, this clearly comes to a thing of a kind of a level order traversal. So if these all nodes at level 0 and these all nodes at level 1, so any node at level 1 should not be together. Same for level 2. So it is as good as a level order traversal. So what if I start traversing from here, if I put like N1 has level 1, N2 is level, 0, and then I got N3 which has level 1, N4 which has again level 1, but in between if I found like these two guys at the same level which are connected, that means I have to return false.
And secondly, one element of set A can't be mapped to two elements of set B. Is it?
Oh, you're
sorry.
That is possible.
Allowed, right?
That is possible.
Way, other way around, I was saying.
Oh, even other way it's possible.
But that you that doesn't suffice the definition of the relations of function itself. From you can't have element of set B which is mapping to two parents in set A.
It could be like, let's say we have like n0 here, so it has these two children.
That is possible, yeah. But I'm saying if you have n1 can it map to 2? Like
Yes.
n1 is there.
No, it can be mapped to like. So you're telling this thing, right?
Yeah. Is it possible?
I think that is possible.
I'm not sure, but in function definition, I think.
So they tell like two nodes into independent subsets A and B, such that
it is okay, right? Because both are in the different levels. So what should be a problem?
No, here in graph it's okay, but if they represent they are representing the independent set as two independent sets, then it follows the rule of a function. It has to suffice that rule also. In function, you can't have one element of set B mapping to two element of set A.
Okay, in that case, if you look at the problem statement, what it says, you won't have parallel edges. So you are explaining parallel edges, right?
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
So it won't be there. So you won't have that input.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah.
So this could be simply started as a level order traversal. So let's say very simple thing, n0, and then we have n1 and n2. So n0 level is 1. So how we do level order traversal? It's like a breadth-first search, and we'll put n1 and n2 in the queue. It will take its parent's level, and it'll say like n1 is level 2. It will take from its parent, and n2 level is also 2. Then let's say if there was some relationship, when n1 will come, it will say n2 is already visited. But it will also try to check its level. If they both are in the same level, that means there's a problem. But if there is no node, then it can keep on going forward.
Yeah.
So Rajendra, is that clear?
Yeah.
So basically, this is as good as level order traversal. Then, because we are only talking about this to this to this, we can even use colors. That's what I think Santosh was telling. So I can give this red color. So these will be blue, and I think these will be green. So anything which has a parent red should not have a sibling which is blue. And same way, anything which is green should not have has a parent B, should not have a sibling which is green. And again, we can recycle them and start from green if there are more levels coming down. Or there are different ways people do, like, okay, this is 3, this is 2, this is 1, again start from 3.
Can't we just make it 1, 2, 1, 2?
No, we need like 3. I think we need 3 things. So to say this is, even I thought in that way, but I think we need 3 different colors, 1, 2, 3, to say this is, so this guy's parent is this, and they should not have 3 color.
So actually you have one color to show that it's not visited. And then only 2 colors actually to toggle between 2 colors, 2 levels.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I thought, so okay, might be I understood in a different way. So I thought like give this as this level as red, this as any children of that gives as a blue. So their siblings should not have a blue color. If we find something blue, that is a problem. And then going down, it give a green here, and then followed by again red.
So you can still have red, blue, green.
Red, yeah,
but
yeah.
After that, after green, you will still have another blue, and then again green. But red will be that you have not visited the node at all.
Red is
You can see red, it's not visited. And then when you visit, either you give blue or green. If you give blue, then the next level will be green. Or the greens will be blue. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That is fine. Yeah.
So it's so if you don't want to go to color approach, I will say just have keep on going to different levels. This is one level, this is 2, 3, 4. That will also work. What thing we are trying to say, that we should not find any node which has a parent on the previous level and they are also on the same level, like in this case. So if that is confusing, if like different colors or what to do with the colors or 1, 2, 3, just do like every node gives some kind of level. So N0 was 0 and N1 and 2 was 1. Sorry, let's say this is 1, this is 2. And now if these both have the same parent, they should not have the same level.
Yeah, that makes sense too. But so, it is very intuitive, like it looks like a level order traversal, but people have implemented using DFS also.
Yes, so I think that can also be done. We only trying to find like if they belong to same parent, and they should not be connected.
Right.
So that I think can also be doable. Like when you do DFS, you can say like, okay, this is 1, and then this goes 2, and when this guy tried to see its neighbor and see what was the level it got from its parent, it was 2, then you can still say, okay, bad guy. So basically every parent will pass a level here. And when it will try to go do DFS this side, and it will say, okay, we are the child of same parent.
But in this case, as you were explaining, BFS would make more, intuitions very good about using BFS or level order traversal than DFS. But I just saw people using DFS also. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What you explained then makes sense. Yeah.
One question about the DFS thing. Suppose the N4 on the right is not a child of N1. Rather, it is just a child of N2. Yeah, that one. And N3 is a child of N1.
Okay, let's do this thing. I think that's a good example. So you're telling here we have N1, N2,
yeah,
and N3.
Correct.
N4.
Yes. So here N3 and N4 belong to the same level. So if they are connected, would that be a problem? Okay. Because that is also not becoming bipartite then, right?
Yeah, so that is a good question. Even I need to think about that. So now if they are connected, technically with this algorithm, it will say that this is not bipartite.
But if you can have N1, N3 and N4, oh no, you can't have that too. Yeah, I think this won't be a bipartite. Yeah, this will return false.
Because so we are basically strictly saying it should be any child on that level should not be connected, irrespective of which parent they come from.
It depends on level. So this is level 1, this is 2, this is this is 1.
We are talking about a special case of the levels here. So it doesn't matter which parent, from which parent that child is derived to come to that level, but none of those children at that level should be connected. Is that what I should understand?
I think the problem statement, as actually Shashank was saying, parallel edges are not there in this case. So this is like a parallel edge, right? So from N0 to N4, you have 2 paths. So then what Rajendra you say makes sense. Correct, Shashank? Your parallel is...
I'm completely lost actually. Please.
So Shashank was saying, if you look at the problem statement, it says there are no self edges or parallel edges. Okay. So parallel edges, Shashank was saying that if you have a path from N0 to N4 in one path, so you can't have another path from N0 to N4. Like in this case, you have N0, N1, N3, N4 as a one path, and N0, N2, and N4 as another path, right? So you can't have two paths. So therefore, they are parallel edges. So the input won't be there. Such input won't be there.
I think parallel edge means it should.
I'm not sure because Shashank said it was like that. So I just came up with.
From N3 to N4, you have a path via N0 and then N4, right?
Yeah, but anyway, if you have this as an input, this graph, it will return false.
So we are talking about this, if this edge is allowed or not.
Yeah. So even if this edge is there, then still it won't be a bipartite graph, right? So any combination you do, you won't be able to actually, make it into two groups.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, okay, so that is a good call out. So what will the two groups here?
One take N1, N2.
Uh-huh.
And other you take,
so
because N1, N2 there is no connection. Okay, N1, N2 one group.
So N1, N2 is one group.
And
N3, N4 is also one group.
Now try to put the edges.
Sorry?
N0 is also left.
So you'll have to use N0 also, right? N0 you can put in N3, N4.
Yeah. Now try to put the edges. N0 to N1.
N0 to?
N1. Try to put edges in the set you have constructed.
Which set?
The set N0, N3, N4, N1, N2. Now connect N1 and N0.
This is already connected.
No, I'm saying in the set you try to connect.
Oh,
just we'll see whether there is. Yeah. So N0 to N1 you can connect according to graph. Now again N0 is connected to N2. And again your
N1 is connected to N3. And N2 is connected to N4. So yeah, so we are able to divide them into two parts where these are independent and these are not these are independent.
He's telling and Rajendra was telling there is an edge between N3 and N4.
Yeah, so let's say if there's an edge. So as soon as we put that edge, this violates the property.
Yeah. So it won't be. So that is what parallel edge, no? Like you could have reached from N3 to N4 from it will go to N0 and then N4, and again from N3 to N4 you are reaching.
So basically, Rajendra, we can't split that into two subsets. Yeah. So if I want to split into two, I can't put N4 here also. If I put N4 here, it would be like this. I can't put N4, it would be connected to N3. So
N2, N4 will be connected. Yeah.
So I can't put here, I can't put here. But if I remove this edge, I can put N4 here and then this guy will get connected.
Connected, yeah.
Yeah.
Was that clear?
Yeah, that's really good.
That's why node section they have specifically mentioned for that. Parallel and self loop.
So Rajendra, was that clear?
I think he's not.
I think we lost him, yeah.
Yeah. He's not. Yeah, he's not.
I think that's what I thought of presenting.
Yeah, it's good.
So basically, if we have more levels down, we have to find two subsets here. Like in the starting, I mentioned like how we can split between. So this could be example could be used in some other way also. I forget there. So one I told man, female. There are other things which somebody can ask like, hey, we have two set of people or two set of groups. Or it could come as I think distributed computing also, like how in the same region. I'm just trying to make up some example, like where in one region or something like you should not, two computers should not talk to each other. Couldn't think of a better example, but yes, this can come in. It can come in a different way. Like, hey, you have two set of groups. Can you find like they are not connected each other? So that is a bipartite thing we have to find.
Yep.
And you can even use this to connect what you say to find number of redundant edges. like N3 and N4 are connected. When you pass edge from N3 to N4, that is again a redundant, right?
Yeah,
Those things.
Yes.
Those problems are solved. Yeah.
Yeah, so if somebody asks like, is this graph has a redundant edge? Yes, we can find that.
So are you saying redundant means cycle?
Cyclic, yeah, it's like when you already have a path from one node to another node, and again by some other way you are going to that node, then you don't need to have that one, right?
No,
That's
so
an extra edge.
I think there's a catch in here. There is one catch I forget. I tried a while back. You can find if there is no cycle, but the number of nodes should be odd or even, something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, cycle also. If redundant is there, definitely it's a cycle.
No, but
because
there's some catch of odd and even. I couldn't recollect. Like,
yeah,
let's
got
say,
it. Like if you have odd number of vertices, then you'll have n minus 1, I think.
so let's say we have this. So how we can split n1, n3 in different group, and n2 and n4 in a different group, right?
Yeah.
So if there is a cycle, but still I can break.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you are saying it is like odd number of nodes.
Yeah,
Then okay, and even here, okay.
So now if I have odd number of nodes, then I can have n1, n3 in a different group and n4 also. There's a derivation around that. I can't recollect.
Havel-Hakami's theorem, something like.
N2 and N4 are not connected. So basically, this set should have N2, N4, and N5. But N4 can only be in one set, right? So if I remove from here, if I put it here, these two gets connected.
Yeah.
If I remove from here and put it here, then these two gets connected. So basically, if there is even, still the graph can be bipartite and the cycles are allowed. But if there are odd number of nodes and there is a cycle, then it could not be bipartite.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice.
That's a good one, yeah.
Like,
Never thought in that direction. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
There is some. I will share a video. It's a really old video from a professor from IIT Delhi. Forget his name, but his videos are really old, but they're still.
You are too old. Some Garg is.
Garg, Naveen Garg.
Yeah, Naveen Garg, exactly. Huh? It's very boring to watch, but good to watch.
No, I do not feel like boring. He's like serious guy, but he gives humor in between. Like this example, man and female, I found it from one of his lecture only. I can.
Yeah, please share it. It would be interesting to watch.
Yeah. I'm just finding that one second.
There he has explicitly explained back edge, front edge, cross edge, all the three edges. It's a bit too long to watch, but it's worth watching.
Yeah, I'm finding that this particular video, which was his by. His videos are, I felt like good.
If you just put graphs, you will get graphs by Naveen Garg.
Yeah, I'm finding that. Okay. So I'm just putting one of
You
his.
can put in Slack. Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's good. Yeah.
But yeah. Google to increase so many ads these days before opening something. Like I have to go through all the ads.
Oh.
It is a
Yeah,
chat.
that is the.
Sorry, this is taking too much time. Okay, so this is one video, but the bipartite should be around that.
Yeah, it's not explicitly, but if you see applications of DFS in the
Yeah.
yes,
Some
so test graph. Yeah.
it would be there.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the applications of
Application.
Hmm.
But he has clarified all the concepts of graph, like what all kinds of edges you can have, or what all bipartite, what all conditions can be there, correction in Dijkstra, all those things.
If you're able to find the bipartite, just put in the Slack.
Yeah, I'll put it.
So what is his name? Is it Naveen Gur?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I found his BFS one, but yeah.
Yeah, but this bipartite, yeah, it should be in the applications of BFS somewhere.
Okay.
So it should be, yeah. So his videos are really old, but they still, I feel like
worth watching.
Like he explains really well, like how this everything should work, and yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I think found his video is this two applications of BFS where he.
So his lecture 26, two applications of BFS.
Yes.
Is that what you mean to say?
Yes. So somewhere around, if you say 16 minutes, he explains bipartite, and then he will also explain where bipartite graph can be used. And this odd even rule also he will explain.
Oh, okay.
Like how this thing works.
Sure. Did you find it, or do you want me to share in the Slack?
I found it. I can put that in.
Oh,
Slack.
please, yeah, you do that then. That will be more better. Because if I put that, will be something else, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that's good.
Better
Thanks for bringing that up.
Because it will wash away from the chat.
Oh, you put in the chat also.
Go away from.
Sure.
Okay, I'll just shave it here.
Okay. We can have one session for graph. Someday, like many things, small stuff is there in graph. Any Sunday session, something like that.
Yeah, simply like application of DFS or BFS.
Yeah.
Okay. Then.
Okay. Yep.
You guys have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Yeah. You too. Thank you. Thanks everybody.
Thanks, Shashank.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Brian.